Hello everyone and welcome to the DeHart house. My name is Alicia and I'm your host of this crafty channel here on YouTube. Today is September 7th of 2024 and I'm coming to you from my home in the Pacific Northwest. I live in Washington State in the United States, around the Seattle area, and I am getting over COVID. So I anticipate that I will have to take some breaks. But yeah, I wanted to record this video on the last day of August. I had even written it on the calendar and everything. But the day before, I started feeling sick. And we were doing projects around the house, and I thought, it's either that I've just breathed in a bunch of dust that we stirred up and it's, kind of bothering my lungs a little, or it's my allergies bothering me, or I'm getting sick, or some combination of those things. Well, the whole weekend I just kept getting worse and worse, and my throat was really sore. That was the main thing, is that it hurt to talk. Mostly because after I'd talk, I'd start coughing, and you cough enough, it just makes it really sore. So, yeah, I went to the doctor because I just kept feeling worse, and I tested positive for COVID. So that was a very short visit. And so I've just been staying home, and getting better, sleeping a lot, and not talking. I got to use some of my my sign language. So I'm still a little bit congested, so I still sound a little sick. I have a cup of tea here I'm going to sip on to help out, and I'm just going to try to get through this quickly, but take breaks if I need to. Yeah, I've been working on more things, and I just don't want it to pile up and overwhelm me and be like, oh my god, August and September in one video. I don't want to do that. So let's talk about the things that I made in the month of August. So I am back in the craft room, and you might be thinking, oh, they finished all their projects and cleaned things up so she can get back in her craft room. No. It is still a complete disaster in here. It's all on the other sides of the camera, so you can't see it because I'm embarrassed. But we have finished up some projects around the house, installing some new lighting outside on our garage and some lighting inside the house, putting in actual fixtures in the ceiling instead of the light switch that controls an outlet and you plug a lamp into it. So my husband did a lot of research looking up wiring codes, how to do things properly so it's up to code for safety. And yeah, so we've almost finished all of that, which is very exciting. Our house was built in the 1970s, which is not like super old in the grand scheme of homes in this country, but 50-year-old wiring, it's been interesting to get in there and see some things. So yeah, it's still a mess in here, but I cleared a corner that I could record from. So I have finished a few projects in the month of August, and the first one that I finished was a set of scrubbies, and I talked about this on my mid-August check-in, so I won't go through too many details, but I made a set of 3 out of 1 ball of this yarn. Here, I have another ball in this purple color. So it's Stitch Soak Scrub. It's 100% nylon, It is a chainette structure to the yarn. And I made a set of 3. The third one is currently in the kitchen being used. These have all been used. I've been cycling through them, and they go into the washing machine with the towels. And I don't put them in the dryer. I just pull them out and let them air dry. And they are pretty handy. So these are just some kitchen scrubbies. Out of that one ball, I got 3 of these square scrubbies, which are double thick. So what I did is I crocheted a little tube, flattened it, crocheted together this top edge, crocheted together the bottom edge, and so it's a double thick square, and it's great. This is how much I have left of that ball. It's not enough to make another scrubby. Not really sure what I'm going to do with it, but there you go. I could have finished this, but I haven't. I have 2 more out of that purple color. These haven't been used yet. I'm wanting to kind of make a set, take a picture of it before using them. But so I still have some left in this ball. I can make a third one. And my thought is that I was going to record like a tutorial of this pattern. But I got sick, so nothing happened with this. I could have crocheted up this third one just fine, but I'm still thinking I want to make a video for that, and I could go buy a fresh new ball and start over, but like I've got this here and waiting. That's the plan. So this is a work in progress still because I have those recording plans. But yeah, one of these balls, it's so light. It's insanely light. This weighs 40 grams and it has 92 yards in a ball. Yeah. So my set of 3, by the way, I did look up this color in the last episode. I wasn't sure what the color was. I found the tag. The color is cabbage. It is a greenish. I don't know. It's hard to tell if it's more green or more blue, but it's a teal, aqua, greenish blue color. But on the label it says cabbage. So if you're, I picked this up at my local Hobby Lobby. I say local, it's a big box chain in the United States, but the one closest to me, Hobby Lobby. So if you're shopping online, that's the color I got. Or in person, whatever. What I forgot to say is that the project of the 3 scrubbies used up 83 yards out of my stash. So 92 yards in the ball, 83 yards went into 3 scrubbies. So I have 9 grams left over that I can do something with. I also just remembered that I was going to talk about the blanket that's draped over my chair. So I'm not wearing any knitting right now. It's actually been 92 degrees Fahrenheit here the last couple of days. We had this huge heat wave come in. A heat advisory was issued. Anyway, it's warm. So I've got just like a t-shirt and comfy pants on. But this blanket is one that I crocheted many years ago. I think it was like 2016. We were living in Texas and I was finally getting back into crafting. Graduated college, got my first real job. My boyfriend and I, at the time, he's my husband now, but we had moved, and anyway, I finally got like free time to get back into crafting, and this was one of the projects that kind of, opened up that whole can of worms again for me. because I used to crochet when I was a kid. But yeah, I was inspired by a blanket I had seen on Pinterest, which had kind of this style going on with a bear motif. And I went with deers instead because my last name is DeHart, and if you kind of look up that name, the coat of arms has like deers on it and things, and I don't know, I kind of felt inspired by that. So this blanket has seen a lot. it's been through a lot, and I really I still use it, but I'm gonna show you that. Yeah, there's I made it so that there was still a little bit of this. I don't know what I want to call this. Not the deer motif, but the other color work here with the white dotted in with the red. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of that, and those are gone off a good chunk of the blanket. It's what, 4 deer wide, and I made it symmetric so they'd be facing each other, and I did all that work. Yes, this has also lived through Marjorie's puppy years. So there was a little bit of chewing there. This poor deer's head is so between puppy Marjorie, the middle of the blanket is almost all good except for here. There's a bit missing there. The other end is actually all good. But yeah, I did color work crochet, and it's not intarsia. I didn't do a separate ball for each of these. I carried the yarn through the stitches, and it's reversible without. Anyway, I put a lot of work into this, and it's been through the washing machine. It's all acrylic, 100% acrylic worsted weight yarn that I probably bought at Walmart. And I use it, I wash it. It frays a little bit more every now and then, but for the most part it's staying together. And yeah, I still like it. It just is one of those things that I'm gonna use it until I can't use it anymore. And that's just how it is. The size of this blanket is basically, I made it so that I could cover myself up while laying down on the couch or whatever. So it is wide enough to drape over me and long enough that I can cover it from my neck down to my toes. So whatever size that is, I made it Alicia sized. So, oh, that tea is so good. But I also finished a project, back to current works in progress and makes. I finished a project that's been on the needles for a year. So I started this project in July of last year, which involved some hand spun yarn. So I have a lot left over still, but I spun it on my Turkish drop spindle, and the fiber is from Socked In Farm. I think she's changed her, did she change her business name since then? I don't know. This is 50% alpaca, 50% baby doll South Down wool. And I spun up a 3-ply because I did chain ply on the drop spindle. And I like the colors, and I thought it would make a really nice headband. And I finally finished it. So I did this provisional cast on, and the scrap yarn I used was horrible. I should have used a better yarn. I used some different hand spun that wasn't very good. I knew I wasn't going to knit it into anything. It was scrap. I have discovered there's such a thing as bad scrap yarn. So it made picking up the provisional at the end very, very difficult to see what was going on. So, and I didn't quite line up the honeycomb. This is where it's joined. And I just didn't care because that scrap yarn was ridiculous. But anyway, I did this like sort of I-cord edging on here. I didn't pick up stitches and do it later. I did it in the rows as I went. Basically, it involves slipping stitches. So every other row, just slip the last 2 stitches. And then you work them the next row. And it just kind of creates this, it looks like a folded over edge. And it's very clean. And it's beautiful, and I love it. I really liked doing the headband with this because of the short rows. The colors didn't get lost in this big blended wide garment or something. They got to cluster a bit more, so you get to really see the different colors, and I think it's wonderful. So the honeycomb stitch, I feel like gave it a little bit of stretch to it, and let's see, where's that? There we go. I even have my hair up so I can put it on. So it's just wide enough to cover my ears. By just wide enough, I mean just wide enough. So, yeah, but it fits. I had knit this and it fit around my head probably like this far, and I needed to do this much knitting to finish it. So that's what I did. So I finished this, and I'm excited to wear it this fall and winter. I do like to wear my hair up a lot of the time, which makes wearing hats difficult. Especially if I've made the hat to like not accommodate a hair bun. But yeah, I finished this headband because I wanted the needles. So I knit this on a US 2. And this yarn, when I spun it, is probably a sport or DK weight yarn. It's definitely thicker than fingering, and I wouldn't say it's as thick as worsted. So it's in between there. And I used US 2. And it's the only US 2 needle that I have in my Chow Goose. I don't know if I have a 2 in my interchangeable set. But yeah, I wanted the 2 so I could use it to recast on my Cumulus tee. Yeah, so the Cumulus tee, I mentioned last time I made it and it's too big. It's way, way too big. I need to rip it all out and start over. And one of the things I thought I would do is go down a needle size. So I was doing it on 3s. So I want to go down to 2s. But my only 2s were in this project. And this project only needed like 1.5 inches of knitting. And I was like, you know what? You just have to pick this back up and do it. I had no notes. There are no notes in this bag, just the tags for the fiber. The spindle had yarn on it that I had to take off and use. And yeah, so I had to find the book that I was reading the honeycomb pattern out of, which I only have the one book of knitting stitches. So I had to find it in there, and it's like a 8-row repeat or something. So then I had to figure out which row am I on, and it wasn't that difficult to do. I just needed a clear head to sit down and do it. So I did, finished it, and I'm really happy about that. So I didn't do, that's hand spun yarn, so my measurements are all estimates. So I estimate that used up 82 yards out of my stash, finishing that headband finally. So I'm really excited about that. All right, so 2 little projects finished, yay. I also finished a pair of socks, and I think I was on the second sock in my mid-August check-in video. I can't quite remember because being sick with COVID has just warped my I don't know what day it is. I don't know what I did. Anyway, so these are socks for my husband Michael, and I knit this out of Premier Yarns Serenity sock. I did find the label, and I did buy this on clearance, so this ball cost me $2.97. I love buying yarn on clearance. Yeah, so for $3 basically I got a pair of socks here, and I still have a bunch left over. The color of this, so this is the main color with the stripes. This is called Dark Water. Dark Water. It's very nice. It's a soft sock yarn, so I would say it's softer, smoother is the word I'm looking for, smoother than Patton's Croy sock yarn. So if you are shopping for sock yarn at big box craft stores like Hobby Lobby or Joann's, Michael's, things like that, you might find Patton's Croy sock yarn, and I love that sock yarn. It's a workhorse sock yarn, absolutely love it. I can see that some people might find it just a little bit prickly. So this is a bit smoother than that. And yeah, let's see if I can find the composition of this yarn. 50% superwash merino wool, which is why it's so soft, merino. 25% rayon made from bamboo, and 25% nylon. So yeah, and then the contrast color, I used a different color for the toe, heel, and cuff. I only had this one 50-gram ball, and I know I can't make a pair of socks for Michael out of one of those. I need to supplement it, so I did. I didn't need to supplement as much as I did, but that's okay. So the contrast is this very dark blue color. It almost looks black, it's so dark. This is from Hobby. I also found this label, yay! This is Black Friday sock yarn. I don't know if they really carry this anymore. I keep finding it on clearance, like we're discontinuing this yarn. But it comes in a pack, a 4-pack. And there are different color combinations you could choose from. But it wasn't like a mix and match, make your own 4-pack kind of deal. So the one I picked had 2 of the dark blue and 2 light blue. And it all it says on here is color 6, and all 4 of them say color 6 in the 4-pack. So I'm just calling it a really dark blue. But this yarn is 75% wool, 25% polyamide. It is a fingering weight yarn. And this is all I have left of the 100-gram skein. I have made a full pair of socks for Michael out of this yarn, like just all this color. I use some here, I use some somewhere else, and I still have another 100-gram skein on the shelf, so I've used it a lot. And yeah, these are finished. So I made them a little bit shorter. This seems to be a good shorter length for him. I like my shorty socks to be kind of down here, and I think he likes a little bit more length on it, so these are kind of shorty socks for him. And in total, across the 2 yarns, this project used up 265 yards out of my stash. And now Michael gets a fresh new pair of socks before the school year starts. And last but not least, I did finish a garment. I finished the luminous tee. Which involved knitting, ripping back, re-knitting, ripping back, re-knitting, ripping back, re-knitting. Yeah, but it's finished. So I'm going to put some pictures up on the screen. I did take pictures before I got sick of me wearing this outside on a nice day. And yeah, it fits beautifully. So in the end, all of the ripping back and re-knitting was totally worth it. In the moment, it completely sucked, but you know, such is life. So I knit this out of 2 yarns. The main color is the dark gray. This is from Cloudborn Fibers. This is in 100% wool. And it's a fingering weight yarn. It is not superwash, so this will not go in the washing machine. And the other yarn is some hand spun. So this colorful yarn is what I had spun. And this comes from fiber that I purchased last year around my birthday, which is in 3 days. But yeah, last year around my birthday, we went on a trip down to Oregon, stopped at one of the yarn shops that we've stopped at before and we keep stopping at, which is funny. And I bought this fiber and I spun it up, and I can't find the tag. And I looked at my Ravelry hand spun page and I didn't put the details in there. It's very soft and drapey, so I suspect it has some silk in it. Anyway, also another reason this isn't going to go in the washing machine, but yeah, so I have leftover yarn of my hand spun, and it's in 3 different balls because of the ripping back and re-knitting. And anyway, I tried, some people said in the pattern that they finished, so it's a bottom-up construction, but they said after this stripe in the contrast color, they went ahead and finished the neckline in that yarn. And I was like, oh, that'll be great. I can use up for my hand spun in this project and get all that burst of color right here. But because it's so drapey, the neckline just opened up like crazy. And so it was coming out super wide and wanting to fall off my shoulders. So that was one of the rip backs. I ripped back and did it in the wool, which has more structure to it. It really brought the neckline in, which is what I wanted. So yeah, I like it. I like the detail where you kind of put you go back and you pick up a little bit here for around the sleeve with the contrast color. You do a little crochet top chain up here where the back and front meets, and it's lovely. absolutely lovely. I'm excited to wear it. So because this involved hand spun, I'm doing estimates again on my yardage, but you know, I was pretty consistent in this spin. It's very lovely. Oh gosh, it's great. But yeah, so I still have some left over there, and I only dipped into 2 skeins of the Cloudborn. So these come in 100-gram skeins. And again, because of the ripping back and redoing, I have 4 separate balls here. Oh well, it's fine. Yeah, so this used up 946 yards out of my stash, and was a item on my summer making list, which I did finish in summer. It's still technically summer on the calendar. I have 2 other garments on my summer making list, which are not going to get done this year. It's not happening. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it's just my reality right now. So a couple weeks ago when I put up my mid-August check-in, I said, oh my goodness, everyone's ready for fall except me. I'm not ready to go back to school. I'm not ready to, you know, for the cooler weather. And after I posted that episode, a bunch of cooler weather swept into the area, brought with it rain. It was very fall here for a few days. So I guess I was kind of forced into it, like, fall is coming, and you do have to get ready for another school year. I teach for a living, so I need to get ready for that. I just don't feel excited. Usually I feel excited to start a new school year and for all the fall things, you know, pumpkin spice and everything nice. This year I'm not fully feeling it yet. So I don't know what's going on. It's weird. But I did start some fall knitting since I decided there's no way I'm getting those other summer garments done in time. Don't even put them on your needles. I don't like, personally, I don't like projects sitting on the needles for a year. I lose my place. I lose my train of thought. I lose my motivation. My tension changes. And I don't find it as enjoyable to pick up an old whip and finish it. For example, that headband I finished, it's been on the needles for a year. I finished it and I didn't feel the same joy as I felt finishing my luminous tee. Now, I know the tee is a bigger project, but I started this and finished it within a couple months, and I got all that joy. With the headband, I started it and had lots of joy. All that joy fizzled out, and then I finished it and it was like, yay, I finished it. But I didn't feel all the joy of when I had started it. So I figure I'm not even gonna put a summer garment on the needles just to sit and wait for next summer. I'll just start it next summer and have all that joy and excitement. That's the plan anyway. So yeah, so let me grab my works in progress. So first off, I am knitting some dishcloths. I know, scrubbies and dishcloths, man. What's going on over here? But last time I had showed you, I was working on a towel. And that towel has turned back into a ball of yarn. I finished the towel. I washed it in the washer with a load of towels. I used it in the kitchen and I hated it. I mean, it worked as a towel. It's just, I did the knitting on the bias of the grandmother's favorite dishcloth pattern and elongated it from a square into a rectangle. But because it's knit on that diagonal, it puts that into the fabric and it wouldn't, the edges wouldn't straighten. Somewhere in there I had decreased some of the stitches, so it wasn't the same number of stitches across anymore. Anyway, I just hated the way it looked. So I ripped it out and it's back into a ball. I was a little worried because I had already washed it and used it. Like, I don't know how ripping this out is going to go. It's possible that it's not going to work out, but obviously it did. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm not, not going to knit towels on the diagonal. Just not happening. And then I didn't want to just knit another towel again because it kind of put a little stink in my mouth. So I made some dishcloths instead. So I went back to the squares. So this one is in seed stitch. So it's just knit 1, purl 1, alternated back and forth across the rows. And then this one is in moss stitch. So also knit 1, purl 1, but you maintain that pattern for 2 rows at a time. And yeah, so I've made 2 dish towels. I'm not considering these finished. A couple reasons. 1, I need to weave in the ends. 2, I've got all of this cotton yarn. I don't want like every dishcloth I make to be a single finished object, because then I feel like I'm just padding my finished object numbers. So I'm going to call it finished when I make a set. Like I'm doing with my dish scrubbies, is that when I use 1 ball and make a set of 3, I'll call that a finished object. So I'm wanting to make this a set. I had 2 balls of this colorway, by the way. I used a whole ball plus part of a second ball to make the towel. So I have used up most of that second ball to make these 2 dishcloths. And now I'm going to go into this and make some more dishcloths. So I haven't decided if these are for my kitchen or if they're going to be gifts. Is another thing. But it kind of goes nicely with the cabbage scrubby. It's funny. Anyway. So yeah, dish towels for the kitchen. Maybe I'll knit them straight like this, seed stitch, moss stitch. But what I'd really like to do is repair my loom and weave more towels. But my loom is currently out of commission. I bought it used and it was already in a broken state. I made some repairs. Glue. That glue has come undone again, so I just need to order some new parts and fix her up. So it's on the to-do list. But I have a brand new cast on. So I was hanging out in my craft room one morning, and this was towards the end of August. And I have a lot of Knit Picks palette yarn, which is 100%, what kind of wool? Peruvian Highland wool. It's a fingering weight yarn. I think it's a 2-ply, very don't put in the washing machine kind of yarn. And the colors were just really speaking to me. So I started a sweater, which is going to go on my fall making list. I've already cast it on, so this will be a little bit different, I guess, for my fall making list, but I am doing a two-color, all over two-color sweater. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. It's hard to see bunched up on the needles. I'm still working on the yoke. So the stitch pattern I'm using, it is a broken seed stitch in two colors. And I just love that it's knits and purls, super easy. There's no slipping stitches or carrying yarn or floats, and yet it creates this pattern that looks super intricate, but it couldn't be any simpler than how it is. So I am so excited. It looks so rich. Amazing. So I'm using two colors of Knit Picks palette, and these are colors I already had in my stash, but I did order a few more balls because I only had, I think I only had one of the brown and I had two of the green. So I ordered some more. So the brown, this light brown, this is called Hare Heather. Hare as in a rabbit. And it has slight variation in it. It's not completely solid color. It's beautiful. And then the dark is, it's a green. It's a dark green. There we go. This is called Aurora Heather. So they're both heathered, right? So they're not completely solid. And this has a bit of like a dark gray is what's heathering in it. Oh, but it's so saturated and beautiful. So those are the two colors that I'm using. Here's what the wrong side looks like. But see, those are just purl bumps. Those aren't floats. So super easy. So I wanted to make a sweater. This is just going to be a pullover sweater. And I already have some patterns in my library, things I've already purchased that I could use as a base. So what I'm using are the numbers from the So Faded Sweater by Andrea Mowry, which is a pattern I already own. It's in my library. It is something you pay for. I've already made that pattern twice now, and I, like both of those finished objects, so I thought that's a good base to go off from with the numbers. That pattern does not have this kind of stitch in it, so I'm adding that part of this myself as a modification. Also, I kind of wanted to go with my own gauge because if you open up the gauge, right, it's going to change how this fabric looks. And I really like the gauge I was getting, so I kind of am making some modifications. The size that I'm following is mostly size 4. So I cast on with size 4. I've followed size 4 up until yoke section 2, I think. And now I'm extending yoke section 2. because I need a little more depth in my yoke. Where I ended up based on my gauge and everything, which doesn't necessarily match the pattern. Where I ended up with was a depth of 7 inches, but I need something more like 8.5 inches. So I'm extending that out before I go into the next kind of shaping section. Yeah, that's where I'm at, and this project is bringing me so much joy. I'm bringing in a little bit of my own creativity with the modifications. I'm measuring a lot because my last few garment projects, I've knit and ripped back and knit and ripped back, and that's really, what's the word I'm looking for? It's been a hit to my confidence, and I feel like I've lost, just confidence in myself and my ability to make things. And I go, oh, I should have known to measure that. I should have known to check on that. Why did I wait so long? So I'm learning from that experience, and I'm measuring a lot. I'm checking on things. I'm blocking this has already been through a block. I'm excited. I'm very excited. So yeah, I'm gonna keep making progress on this sweater as my first fall make. I don't anticipate finishing this in the summer months. So on the calendar, summer runs until September 22nd and fall begins. So I think this will be a project which will go into fall and could be my first finished garment of fall. I would like to make more than one. I would like to make more than one. Let's just end the sentence there. Yeah. So I have also done a little bit of spinning, but I'm gonna leave that in the other room. And then we can talk about it when I actually finish the spin. I think that'll be good. Yeah. Getting COVID is no fun. It is still no fun at all. Yeah. The doctor told me that the strain that's going around is highly contagious. It's not as severe as previous strains that have gone around, but it's just super contagious, so it's just like everyone's getting it. And yeah, the main thing for me was sore throat, and I was just tired. So I'm thankful, I guess, that I got it now and not after school started, because there's no way I could have even worked from home, let alone gone to work, because I was just too tired, and I'd get like loopy from sitting up too long, and I just had to lay down. So there's no way I could have been in front of a computer screen like emailing people. So yeah. So before I wrap out the video, let's check in on my goals. I've made a few goals this year. One of those goals is to make at least one garment every season this year. And so we have gone through 3 seasons. So winter, spring, and summer. And I have made now a garment for each of those seasons. So in winter, I made the cappuccino cardigan. In spring, I finished a couple of things. Spring, I had my Solidago tee and my Breckenridge topper cardigan. And in summer now, I have finished the luminous tee, which is fantastic. So to finish out the year will be fall season. Fall runs September 22nd until, oh, see, now I need to look this up. It's like December 23rd or something like that. So there's like a week, 10 days-ish of winter at the end of the year, but I'm going to count winter as, 2025. So fall will wrap out this calendar year, which is exciting. And another goal that I have is to use more yards out of my stash than what I bring into my stash. So I am keeping track of how much I bring in through purchases or spinning and how much I use out, and it only counts as out if I actually finish the project. So my cabbage scrubbies count towards the out, but my purple scrubbies don't because I haven't technically finished the project yet. So that's how this works. I did make some purchases, and so, for example, the scrubby yarn I purchased, but I also used some of it. I had also purchased the, what is this called? The cotton yarn for dishcloths. I purchased quite a few balls of this in different colors because there was a sale, it was on clearance. So I have brought some things in. And so in total, through the end of August, I have brought in 5,943 yards of yarn. Kind of a lot. And what I've used up so far in finished projects is 6,333 yards. So I'm just barely ahead, just barely. The difference between those two numbers is 390 yards. So, yeah. Yeah. I did not include my most recent purchases. Like I said, I ordered some more Knit Picks yarn for that sweater. That did arrive like yesterday. So that's going to count in the month of September. So these are numbers as of August. I've made more damage since then. Yeah. All right. That's okay. I like setting goals to kind of give me a framework to work toward. It's not like if you fail, there's a punishment attached to it. It's just a framework for me to work in. So thank you for joining me in this episode. I look forward to seeing you next time when I'm sure I'll be feeling 100% back to myself. No more scratchy throat. Until I see you again, I hope that you stay safe, you stay healthy, and that you enjoy your crafts, whatever they may be. Bye.